Doug Nelson, our Government Relations Director, will now give the first part of his presentation on the incredible work that PSE and our members have done advocating in Olympia. I think. Here comes Doug.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Doug Nelson. I'm the Director of Government Relations. This is the first time I've done this type of a presentation out here in front, so I'm going to have to get a little bit used to it. So what I've had to do is break up the presentations into two different phases. This first one's going to be about field services and our successes in negotiations. And the second this afternoon is going to be about politics. So let me just start out with this. My job this morning is to recap what happened over the last year. And I have to tell you, it's been an amazing year because we started off with the most hostile Supreme Court decision that we could expect. It was intended to weaken unions across the nation, including PSE. That's how we started out this last year. And so what you're going to see at the end is how successful, not only did we respond to Janice and the right to work movement, but how we kept our focus on getting the best we could for our members. So, as I get started, I just want to remind you, your heads are going to explode with numbers, okay? So, a lot of you are going to want to write down these numbers that you're going to see because they're pretty compelling. Don't do it. Just sit there and listen because if you want to, we will post the presentation online so you can see it and take it back to your workplace and do whatever you want with it. So you don't have to write down the numbers, even though you really are going to want to. Okay? Okay, so with that understanding, let's get started. What I like to refer to, I'm an advocate, and PSE is centered around advocacy for our members. Advocacy takes on 3 different stages. It's a year-round cycle. I call it the union life cycle. We bargain with the employer, and guess what? Then we have to go and elect supportive politicians, and then we have to go lobby. Okay? So what I'm going to be covering this morning is the bargaining. This afternoon, I'm going to be going through electing and then also what we've done lobbying. So let me get started. I'm going to start out big picture first, and we're going to get down to a smaller picture as we work through it. So I love this slide. There are 146,162 K-12 employees. How many of you knew that before? Okay, not very many, but classified employees are 45% of the workforce. Did you know that? Well, this is why I love this slide. Take a look at the superintendent's slice of the employment. Look at our slice. People, there is the power because we have the numbers of bodies, and school districts are run through politics. We have a lot more bodies than the superintendents or the principals. This is the FTE slide. A lot of people say, yeah, classified employees, they don't work full time. That's true. But you know what people respond to is voters. We have 66,000 voters that are classified employees. So what's the health of classified employee work in the last year? Unemployment stayed stable, not a lot of unemployment. There was a 6.4% average salary increase statewide. I know I think you heard earlier about 18% salary increases, 2%. I mean, There's just all over the map. Here's another indicator. 2,092 additional classified employees were hired this year. That equates to 3.3 million additional hours of work. So here's the unemployment chart that I've used in the past, but you'll notice that we're on just sort of up and down, but we still have 373 employees on unemployment. I really don't understand this. We're in a full employment market, but we do have a lot of members still on unemployment. So you see the blue? That is what the state said we could negotiate, 3.1% salary increase. So you have the different classifications. Bus drivers got an additional 2.42% on top of the 3.1, all the way up to paraeducators getting an additional 4.3%, and secretaries getting an additional 4%. Even the low water mark, the maintenance employees, got 1.5% on top of what the state funded. So with this chart, what you see is the growth of classified employees over a period of time from 1985 to 2019. And you're going to say, Doug, why doesn't it go beyond 1985? Because that's when I started calculating these numbers. I have been around. But what you see is school districts, you see the trend line? The trend line shows you that next year, if everything stays the same, if there isn't a major downturn, we're going to have another 1,000, 2,000 classified employees hired next year. That's the trend. That's good. It's also a challenge for us because we have to get to those new employees when they're hired and do what? Be nice to them and share with them our success. Be proud of it. So let's get down to this school year. Just to give you a feeling for the classified employees, you'll see that paraeducators, there are 29,006 paraeducators in Washington State working in schools, 10,513 secretaries, and all the different classifications. So I like this chart because it just gives you a feel for over the last 10 years what's been happening. So for a 4-year period, we lost 885 jobs. That was right after the Great Recession. But over the last 6 years, there have been 10,642 new employees hired. So that's good. It's good for PSE. It's good for classified employees. It increases our strength. Over the last 10 years, 58% of the new hires have been paraeducators. 6,181. Another way to look at it is there have been 13.5 million hours of classified employee work added over the last 10 years. 13.5 million. Obviously, paraeducators are 7 million of those hours, et cetera, et cetera. Of the 2,092 employees hired this school year, 1,249 were paraeducators, 168 were professional, and on and on. You'll see the different classifications. Let's just give you a flavor of who we are. Of those hours, it's been 3.3 million hours. Most of the hours, roughly half of them went to paraeducators. But also, I'm really happy to see custodians, even though you saw that there weren't a lot of additional custodians hired, they've been adding hours to current employees. And you'll see that with maintenance employees, same thing, they've been adding more hours, not necessarily more staff. Technical employees, they've been adding more hours, but this is the last one I like, is child nutrition, because if you saw that school districts were not hiring a lot of child nutrition employees, but what they were doing was adding a lot of hours to the current staff, which is a good thing. So now, I'm going to get into the bargaining. What do our members expect us to do? I've used this for years and got affirmation time and time again that what our members expect us to bargain is the best wages we can for them, the best insurance we can get for them, and then someone to be there when something goes wrong at work. So it's the financial issues that are really critical. So we have negotiating committees on our bargaining team. Anybody in this room served on a negotiating committee? I see a lot of hands. Good. We have field representatives. Are there field representatives back there? I know they are. Guys, stand up or something. And stay standing while we add field service assistants. Come on, field service assistants, regional office coordinators, and the legal department, which we can't operate without. David, why aren't you standing up? David Steele, stand up. You're a field communications involved. So that is the team that deserves support. And guess what? They delivered. Because in the bargaining season we just finished, the state established new, for the first time in my career, I've only been around for 37 years, the state came up with a new way of negotiations on salaries, and it was very confusing. Field reps were like, what do we do with this? We're getting conflicting signals. But despite that, we had tremendous success. And then we had this other issue. The state increased funding for our salaries by 37%. Anybody heard that number over the last year? But then the legislature said, oh, by the way, you can't negotiate that. You can only negotiate a certain amount. And so school districts said, well, we're not going to do what the union wants. We're going to do what the state said. So it was a very difficult season. And it led to a great deal of strife. But also, and I think what you're going to see is the success we had. So I've got some groups that provided me pictures, and I know I'm probably missing some here and there, but Auburn PSEA. Anybody here from Auburn PSEA? Congratulations on standing up and fighting. How about Bremerton? Anybody here from Bremerton? Great job standing up and fighting. Edmonds Paraeducators. Anybody here from Edmonds? Congratulations, well done. Everett Paraeducators. Issaquah. Anybody here from Issaquah? We already heard from Issaquah. Mount Vernon Paraeducators. Anybody here? Mukilteo. Anybody from Mukilteo? Congratulations on your fight. Ording, congratulations in getting out there on the line and fighting for what's right. Richland. We already heard the Richland. Is this Richland right here? Congratulations. Washougal. Congratulations. So what I want to say is I think this last year was probably the most strife that we've had as an organization in years. And I know I missed some. I heard Central Valley. Did you guys have a fight? You did? Good. Central Valley deserves it. I just didn't have a picture. Anyway, so a lot of our success was easy. It wasn't like school districts said, here, we got this money, you guys get it. In fact, it was just the opposite in many cases. So what did we win? And you know, bargaining, it all comes down to money. So this is an easy slide to read, but I'll have to tell you, your field representatives slave away and sweat and to get the information together. Because what we do every year is we calculate what the value is of the salary increases, the insurance increases that our members are getting each and every year for every one of your chapters. That is one heck of a lot of work on your field reps' part. So field representatives, everybody join me in thanking them for all of their work. Thank you. Because I'll tell you something, when you have a situation that we negotiated for this year, $73 million in gains in our members' pockets. 62 million of that is for salaries. That works out to $2,355 per member. Now, some of you got more. Some of you are going to say, I didn't get $2,300 on average. So here's how I like to look at it. So each member got, on average, $2,355. Guess what they pay us for dues? $433 on average per member. And this is just my strange way of looking at things. But here's what we did. In essence, we returned all of their dues to them. The $403, we gave it back to them, but we actually got them an additional $1,922. I hear a little bit of nices there. Yeah, that's sort of a good. And it actually turns out to be anybody do any investing of any money, it's called return on investment. So if you give me $433 and I give you $2,300 back, that's a 444% return on investment. It's a stunning number. And that's what you guys did. That's what your bargaining team did. So let's say, for instance, you say, I don't give a darn about a 444. I just want to do a CD. Well, you're going to get 2% a year. So let me ask you, if you're a new member coming in and somebody says, what should I do? Should I invest in the union or should I invest in a CD? What are you going to tell them? Yes, but you're going to tell them because of this. We're the best investment ever. We're the best investment. So let me just share with you this. The blue stacks, those are how much dues we get from our members each year, from 2015-16 to 2018-19. So what you see is we got $10,900,000 for dues in 15-16, but we got our members $41,500,000 just in that year. Okay? But let's go to the next year, 16-17. We got $11,800,000, and we got an additional $34,500, and on and on. And then you look at this year, we got $12,700,000, but we got our members $73 million in return. Is that stunning? I mean, I sort of like that number, and I feel the field representatives are like, wow. So in 15-16, that would have been a 281% return on investment. Next year, 192%, 302%, and finally 444%. Guys, nobody can beat this. Nobody can. You go talk to some investment manager or a financial advisor and say, can you get me these types of return on investment? They'll laugh. That's why the union is the best investment. So here's the other fun one. The best kept secret, I call it. The gains that we're getting for our members build one year after the other. So what you see is, well, you got $41 million that we negotiated in 15-16. And so I'm going to go over to permanent gains to show you the effect. So let's add another $34.5 million in the next year. Okay, so now it's $76 million that our members got. Then we got another $51 million. That adds up to $127 million because it keeps growing each year, doesn't it? These are not lump sum salary increases that you're negotiating. You know what a lump sum salary increase is? It's where the employer says, here's $1,000, and we'll call it good for the year. There's no salary increase added to the salary schedule. It's just a lump sum. So now, this year, we got an additional $73 million. So now it's $200 million. That's what it's grown to. So if you add up the dues that we've gotten over those same 4 years, PSE received $48 million in dues. But what we've really gotten you is $444 million because you add up all these different numbers to get that number. That's nearly $400 million that have been returned to our members over what they've given us. I feel pretty good about that. I hope you do. Do you? Does anybody feel like this is valuable stuff? What we really want is you to share that, because when you look at the dynamics, it's huge. It's a huge number, and I'm really proud of the field representatives' work. our field team, all of PSEs, but I'm really proud of our members, our negotiating committees, because those are hard jobs to do. So giving our members their dues back plus getting them $400 million is a big deal to me. But guess what? We can't rest because every year we come back at it year after year after year. So we have to gear up for the next time. We have 80 open contracts this year and plenty of salary and insurance reopeners. So I'm just about finished on just going through our success. But at this afternoon session, we'll start talking about the other 2 phases of the union cycle. But I just want to end on this note. You guys should feel good. It's congratulations of the wonderful year you had from where we started. So congratulations, and I'll hand this off to the next person. Charlotte. Thank you.